Yeah, to me, it's just kind of the Hans Zimmer runs an organization called Remote Control, and he's got like 8 or 9 composers underneath him, and they all just kind of, hey, can you do this scene? And can you do this scene for me? And they all end up having this kind of generic sound. It's almost like assembly line scoring. And to me, this sounded, it's got some of those same Hans Zimmer string ostinatos. The whole orchestra is playing the same note. It drives me crazy. But obviously, I'm in a minority because Hans Zimmer keeps getting job after job after job after job. And it's like you say the Joker's note versus the Joker's theme. But it was actually very clever that it was the sound of I actually thought that was a very good idea. It had a concept. Like the Batman thing, and you got to shut me up here because I can go on all day about this stuff. The Batman thing is basically 2 chords. What does it tell me about the character of Batman? Nothing. Versus you look at something like William Superman, where you know everything you know about the character, from how the music's harmonized, from how the intervals he uses, and everything. Anyway, I'll shut up about that.
But I'll add on what you said about the score. A lot of times in a movie, I like the score of the film. I thought the main theme was cool. I had like electric guitar riff in there. That was kind of cool. But also, like, I tried not to pay attention to the score because so many times I've seen a movie and all the visual and audio pollution and sound effects and everything else, I can't hear the score. So when I hear a score that sounds bland and bad, I'll go back and listen to the soundtrack and it sounds fantastic. So I usually, like, if I see a movie, I think the score's kind of bland, and next thing, okay, I'll put that off to the side burner and listen to the score separated from the movie. Because, like, I don't want to bring in the T word, Transformers. Hate the movies. There's so much audio-visual pollution, there's actually some really killer score notes in that score by Steve Jablonsky. There are some really just heart-pounding, really killer scores. You just can't hear it over the movie.
Yeah,
which is a shame. So for Pacific Rim, I'm going to go back and listen to this because I hear some cool tracks, but again, with all the explosions, the roars, everything else, it overshadows the score. So I think you need to listen to the score separate to try to,
I think there's quite a bit of validity to that point because it's just like Jerry Goldsmith, I think, I'm trying not to get off on my own personal stuff, but Total Recall, he listened to his score buried in 8 million different sound effects, and you can definitely hear a difference in Jerry Goldsmith's score. The way he scored movies after that, it's more of a wall of sound rather than intricate scoring. Because it's something get buried in the sound effects anyway, and that was literally, he changed it.
Did you ever hear his score for the movie The Ghost in the Darkness?
Yeah.
Fantastic score. I mean, that's the kind of music that I would want for a movie like that. It's got its own kind of personality that would fit that kind of movie. You gotta have something that really elevates in the back of your mind. It's got to bring the rest of the movie up.
Well, and just to close that off, because like I said, I'll talk about this all day. I thought the score was effective in the film, and that it did all the things the score should do. And there may be some more interesting things. And certainly some scores. The first time you hear them, it's hard to get all the ideas that are in there. But to me, it just kind of felt like generic action scoring, like we've heard over the last 6, 7 years. When we get onto some other stuff, I know that people have things they want to say.
I'd like to hear your guys' opinions, and you can also I'd like to hear everybody else's. What do you think this movie means for the future of, next year, Godzilla, and maybe kaiju movies after that, or sequels?
If I can just address that real quick, I'm hoping that, I have actually, how many people, I was going to ask for the room, how many people have high hopes, who really think, or have an expectation that the Godzilla movie is going to be good next year? Okay, that's good. I actually do. I like the approach that he's going for this, how it would really happen kind of thing. I think that's just what the first Godzilla movie was mostly like. And I love that, so I have really high hopes. So I'm hoping this kind of primes the pump for it. I hope it's going to have a very different feel than this one. This was, again, a different animal. No pun intended. Okay, can I just, he asked how you guys feel about how this sets the stage for future movies?
Well, now that I'm hoping Pacific Rim does for the monster movie genre what Batman did for the superhero genre back in the day. Kind of open up the door for other people to step in and have their take. I mean, I would love to see Tim Burton move forward with the proposed Monster Apocalypse adaptation. I would love to see how that differs from Pacific Rim. So I'm excited.
In short, Gareth Edwards do a better job than Guillermo del Toro.
I think I really enjoy monsters. I love that kind of pseudo documentary vibe.
Well, back up to what you were saying about the generic stuff. What everybody's saying about we want monster suits instead of all the CGI. I hope that the stuff that we don't necessarily like as Godzilla fans will bring it to that mass audience and bring, you know, all the money into the Godzilla and the kaiju and everything. Because there's loads of that I think apparently people like this really close into the action stuff for the mass audience.
Not here.
But apparently it's making money somewhere because they keep doing it. And so maybe, you know, as the money comes in, more kaiju movies, just like he said about the comic book movies, you know, all these Batman, and then suddenly all every comic book series you have heard of make a movie. Maybe we'll do the same kind of a stepping stone into a monster movie.
Right.
Uprising.
Yeah, well, that's what I think what we're all hoping for. I would love to see Godzilla. I'd love to see the Criterion, what they did with the first Godzilla. I'd love to see it for all the Godzilla films. Like, if they could do just that, I'd be happy.
If I can just expand on one thing, on what you're saying, the reason why I said I'm worried about what Guillermo del Toro can do to what he wanted to do could end up hurting it. If someone like me who didn't enjoy the film that much goes in and sees that, and they find out that, you know, hey, Godzilla's coming out next year, and I wasn't this interested in this. Somebody who's not a Godzilla fan would go in, see that movie, not like it, and be like, I don't want to go see that. You could potentially turn, you know, your target audience off. People, your new people you want coming in if you're not. But I mean, I'm in a really small majority of people who don't like that kind of take on monsters.
And with the anticipation for Pacific Rim, AMC and SIFI, I would refuse to call them sci-fi. AMC and SIFI have been playing Godzilla 1998 to death.
Over and over again.
Not anything that, you know, people actually need to be exposed to.
Actually, I'm in the majority that I do enjoy that film, but you don't have to keep playing just that one over and over again.
Okay, we've got a couple people here that's spoken yet.
This gentleman up here made a very good point. Like Tim, I agree with most of his points. Even though I was disappointed with the Pacific Rim in a lot of ways, it's been critically acclaimed. Generally, not just kaiju fans, but fans in general, or moviegoers, enjoy the movie. And as a fan of giant monster movies, if somebody wants to see them continue to grow, because we kind of found mediocrity, and there's been a very big genre lately.
Yeah.
I think as fans, we all need to put aside our personal differences. No matter if we didn't like it or we didn't like it. I think if Pacific Rim is doing well and can bring audience members into like new kaiju films, then we can have more kaiju films. Even though I don't personally like it, I'm all for it.
Well, I mean, even he and I, we are.
If we do good things for our beloved genre, then I think we'll more power.
He and I are even working on a fan film of our own. I mean, you can even get posters from him, if you want to see stuff like that. And that's going to be our take on it. It is good that Pacific Rim will make more people want to do monster movies.
Okay.
Just for simply being
For bringing it forward in that way. Young lady over here, Heather.
Yeah, don't boo me, but I've never seen a Godzilla movie before.
Boo.
to the right place.
Yay!
Warning, don't see the 1998.
Do see the 1998. It's not terrible if you take it for what it is.
But I saw Pacific Rim last night, and I personally thought it was pretty awesome. So, it definitely got me wanting to see what all this hype is about. So, that's just an outsider.
Well, hopefully, unfortunately, I don't think, this is my own personal opinion, I don't think two of the best Godzilla movies are playing over the next 2 nights. True. But, hopefully we'll whet your appetite for more.
I just want to add one thing I loved about the movie, and this goes to the thing when I saw Guillermo del Toro's name on it, was the color schemes. My God, every shot in this movie was alive. There was every shot had a new color, every shot was vibrant, glorious, like Ron Perlman's suit. That's why they put it into 3D. It's his suit.
Let's have a hand for Ron Perlman's suit.
Kaiju, when they kept the Jaegers, it was gigantic. and just every color scheme was like, my eyes were just so happy to watch this movie because it just looked beautiful.
Well, why don't you sell his suit in the dealer's room next year?
I like that he had more metal in his mouth than like Lil Wayne. That was the funniest thing. I'm like, why would you have that? That's just a great character. I thought that was a great character thing all over. So, right there.
Okay. I wanted to wait a little bit to see what everybody said, but a couple quick points. I do have a specific question, gentleman over here. Looking at the movie, we live in reality TV / what Kim Kardashian is doing this minute. You have to lay a framework because everybody out there that we're trying to get this style of movie making into, we want to bring fans to. When the animation films started coming out, Shrek and stuff, nobody thought it was going to work. And look at it now. When the superhero movies started coming out, they delayed movies for years. I heard about Spider-Man. I'm 40 years old now. I heard about Spider-Man when I was 18. And now I go into the bathroom, and Avengers 1 is out, and I come out, and they're in pre-production for Avengers 2. My question is, what are we asking Mr. Del Toro to do? We know about this, and this is why I'm a 4, by the way, and I appreciate the 2. And another thing I want to say real quick, it opens up this kind of dialogue. But what are we asking them to do in 2 hours and 15 minutes to bring people in? You have to cater to a younger crowd that's so spoiled by CGI, and you want to please hardcore fans, and you want to grow the base. Can we not all at least create, because one of the things you said was, I'm sorry, maybe you were here in the middle about the close-up scenes. Mm-hmm. Stan Hyde knows as much or more about this than all of us, yes? Everybody knows Stan Hyde here, yes? Yeah. Okay, Stan said it was too far back. He said the cameras were too far back. He goes, I couldn't comprehend everything going on. And I heard 2 things here already that it's like it was tied up shots. That's what's great about opening up the dialogue. But I'm just curious as if you got to lay a foundation. Let me ask each guy in succession. What more would you have asked Del Toro to do to try and bring him in?
Well, I can answer that quickly because to me it's the same thing that I kind of said initially. I would add a story where it's, to me, what the appeal of the Godzilla movie is, where the whole thing is you just can't wait to see Godzilla beat the snot out of his opponent. I would want that kind of emotional investment in it, where to me it was just like one thing after another. I didn't have quite that where I was sucked in emotionally to the story. That would be what I would like to see.
Well, I suppose I would have asked him not to clutter the story so much. I mean, this is like if Toho had skipped Godzilla, Rodan, King Kong Escapes, Mothra, everything that made Destroy All Monsters, and just made Destroy All Monsters. Or for the superhero fans out there, if Marvel had just gone ahead and made the Avengers
Just
right
did
off the
Avengers
bat.
by itself. It wouldn't have had quite the same impact. Let me say this, man. My first Godzilla movie was Godzilla King of the Monsters when I was 6 years old. Okay, so I came in with a hard type of movie that's what got me into it. I didn't come in with Godzilla's Revenge or Terror of Mechagodzilla or anything like that. I didn't have the goofy movies. I fell in love with adult movies. When I was a kid, my favorite movies were Friday the 13th, Halloween, things like that. Those aren't movies for kids. Yet, I got into it as a kid because it appealed to me. You don't have to water things down for kids. Kids are going to get into it if it interests them. If you put a movie out there for adults that adults love, like Terminator 2, perfect example, okay? That's one of the most adult movies you can get. Every kid loved it. They had toys for it. They had, they had bed sheets, everything. That is not the type of movie you market to kids, and they market it into kids. Kids are going to get into it. They love things like that. You don't have to have Final Wars to get young kids into it. You can have GMK and have kids get into it. You can have King of the Monsters, Godzilla 1985. You can have Cloverfield, and kids will still get into it. It doesn't have to be your Saturday morning anime.
We're pretty much out of time. I just wanted to throw one last thought in here. I'm actually in pre-production in a film that I'm trying to get off the ground, and I've been doing a heck of a lot of research. And there was just a major article in Variety or somewhere with Steven Spielberg. The reason why these films are the way that they are, and these kind of amusement park rides where you just hit over the head with action scene after action and after action scene, is because the foreign markets now dictate who this movie is going to be targeted for, because most movies make far more money overseas than they do here in the United States. If anybody wonders why the Star Trek movies, I've heard some people shout out Star Trek here, have become these action extravaganzas, because Star Trek has always done well in the United States and horrible overseas. Now they're doing really well overseas because they're hitting you over the head with the action. And Steven Spielberg was just talking about how Lincoln came this close to ending up on HBO because none of the majors wanted to throw it in the theater. It's too much dialogue. So that is, we can talk about what we want for Guillermo del Toro or J.J. Abrams or whoever else. That is the reality of the marketplace. They're going to spend $200 million on a movie. They want to know it's going to make $400 million over in Russia, in the Pacific Rim, everywhere else in the world, and that is just the reality of the business. And so we're going to see more of these films where it's just more and more action and more and more like roller coaster rides, for better or for worse. I mean, it can be done well. I really enjoy The Adventures of being an example of one that I thoroughly enjoy. But anyway, we're over here. Thank you everybody for participating.